Welcome to Post Status Happiness Hour Live. I am here with my good friend, Brad Williams from Web Dev Studios. We go way back. We go way
Wait, this
back
is
till
how far back do we go?
we go back to my first WordCamp, or one of my first WordCamps in
Oh,
Buffalo,
oh yeah.
when you bought wing hats. I think you were wearing giant wings on your head.
That
Do
sounds
you,
like me.
it
Word,
does sound like I was
that does
there.
sound like me. Yeah, WordCamp Buffalo. That I didn't realize that was your
Yeah,
first WordCamp, so that's why
you
I'm
you
kind
took
of.
the train.
I did. I took the train from Jersey. This
Mm-hmm.
was, I mean, this was over 10 years ago, right? So,
It definitely was.
yeah, trains from Jersey all the way to Buffalo, which is the quickest ride you can imagine. And but I will say it's a beautiful ride, and I actually really
Yeah,
enjoy trains. I like kind of just chilling when I
yeah.
travel. The opposite of my wife, who absolutely hates trains. She just wants to get there. But I
Okay.
enjoyed it. It was a very scenic view. Got there. I think we went right to the Anchor Bar and like tried to pound 50 original wings, and then I think we were at the speaker sponsor dinner shortly after. So
I think you were. I think that sounds about
that's how
right.
you do
Yeah.
Buffalo.
That is exactly how you do buffalo. Although I will say Anchor Bar may have originated them, but they don't have the best wings. There are definitely better
Yeah.
wings now in Buffalo. Um,
That's those are fighting words. I'm in Philly, so I'll
uh,
stick to the cheesesteak debates. I can't debate every type of food, but they were good.
yeah, I do like cheesesteaks. I saw your most recent cheesesteak versus your son picture, and he has far outgrown the comparison to
Yeah, I had a
cheesesteaks.
little bit of I guess a quick viral moment with measuring my son with cheesesteaks when he was born. Every month I would line him up, and month one, month two, all the way through 1 year,
He's
and the
peeking in
second
the
year
background there.
anniversary, it kind of I was posting about it, kind of took off, went viral real quick. So it's funny because everybody in the WordPress community really remembers that because it was very almost global for about a day, and then it was just gone. But yeah, the cheesesteak baby.
He just poked his head in. He's very tall.
Did he?
he,
He probably
he
did.
did for a second, and then he closed the door.
Don't
Like,
tell
oh
anyone. I
wait,
put the live stream up on my TV and told him he needs to watch it. So
oh, there you go. Perfect. That's awesome. Well, we are here today because I got to see you demo something quickly for me in Arizona a few weeks ago,
Mhm.
or not even 2 full weeks ago, but somewhere around there, which is your theme switcher. And I was so intrigued. I'm like, hey, you got to come on the podcast and talk about it. I thought I'd be your first podcast talking about it, but I wasn't. You've been making the
I'm on
rounds, but
I'm on
I'm
my media
grateful.
circuit, Michelle. You
you,
have to
you
understand,
sure
like
are.
when I have something to talk about, which honestly it's kind of cool because like I've been around WordPress for a long time, like you, and I've seen kind of the media within WordPress. I was thinking about this the other day, like come
Mhm.
and go, right? Like websites that were really instrumental, like WP Candy back in the day, is gone, right? But like it ebbs and flows. But right now there is so many podcasts, so many great newsletters,
Yep.
sites talking about WordPress, and like not just fluff, like real legit information, real good information.
Hmm.
So it's really from that perspective, it's probably one of the best times to be releasing things, talking about things, or just talking about
Yeah.
WordPress because there's so many awesome channels to do that right now.
There really
This
are.
being
I
one of them, of course.
absolutely. I mean, I love being in charge of one of those channels because I have a lot of fun talking to people who are really doing amazing things in the WordPress scene. And the idea behind this plugin, like, completely blew me away. I love that you can be so granular with how you
Yeah.
use it. I realize I'm talking like I'm not trying to steal your thunder, so I'm going to let you tell
No,
them what
go
I
for it. Please
mean.
keep going, Michelle. It'd be great.
But the idea that you can, I mean, when I heard theme switcher, I thought, well, I could switch from, you know, XYZ from 2025's theme to like 2021's theme really
Mhm.
easily. But it does way more than that,
It
which
does.
is why it's a premium plugin, actually. And it can do some pretty amazing things.
Hmm.
I think some of the nicest, maybe nice, that's a weird word to use. One of the most intriguing things you can do with it is perhaps have a different theme for your blog than
Hmm.
you do for your site, but also like cool for landing pages and things like that. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what the impetus behind it, and then we are going to demo it. Well, we being you are going to demo it,
Good old
show it
live
off to people
demos.
how it
Gotta love
works.
them. Yeah.
We gotta love the live demos. That's right.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that, Michelle. So, Theme Switcher Pro, it's our latest plugin from Web Dev Studios. So we've been in the WordPress industry for a long time, working on, building sites. A lot of the sites and projects we work on are more complex size, larger, many enterprise clients, larger brands you may be familiar with. So we have a history of really solving complex challenges, right? And that's one thing we've really been known for within the community is doing just that. And one of the challenges that, have come up again and again, especially the last few years, is the idea of, there is a lot of websites out there still running, classic WordPress, running classic editor, the WYSIWYG editor. And they, by and large, maybe really enjoy their sites, maybe they don't, but they're kind of stuck, right? And they don't know, there's not a clear path to get to the block editor or the Gutenberg block editor without really completely rebuilding your website. And that is a challenge for a lot of people, especially in the last couple of years as budgets have gotten tighter. And everyone's really scrutinizing spend and where it's going and, wanting to get more for less, right? Which, you can understand as a business, that makes sense. But the idea of saying, okay, we want to redesign and rebuild our website because we want a new way to create content using the block editor, that's a hard sell, up the chain of command. That's a hard sell to executives, right? So we started kind of thinking about the opportunities walking in the door. Much harder to get those rebuild projects landed in the past few years. So we started really thinking, well, what can we do? Like, is there a way we could do this and start chipping away at it? Maybe extend this out so it's not a traditional rebuild of a project, relaunch of a website, but we systematically start replacing sections of a website. And we started digging in from an engineering standpoint to see how doable that was, with the block editor, right? Full support of the block editor, which really adds some complexities. And we discovered it is doable, and we were confident we could make it happen. And so we started rolling out and building this technology and implementing it on client websites with great success. They really loved it, what it was doing. So and started demoing it to some friends and insiders and a couple hosting companies, and all of them said, nobody's doing this. You need to productize it. You need to build this out so you can sell it in a way and make it more of a product versus a custom integration across the board. So that's exactly what we did. And again, the goal of this, or at least the initial goal, was to help people transition from classic WordPress, classic editor to blocks in more to iterative fashion. So rather than trying to get maybe $100,000 approved to rebuild a website in 4 to 6 months, can we get 5,000 a month for 12 months, maybe 10,000 a month for 12 to 18 months? And we start selectively replacing templates across your site with a new block-based theme. We have had clients that have come to us and said, 95% of our traffic is on our article pages because they're media sites. So people are going directly to those pages. They're not necessarily hitting the homepage. Guess what? We swapped out just that page and made it a block-based page. So now not only is it more performant, quicker, it allows our entire editorial team, it gives them the full power of blocks and patterns. So the content they're producing is so much better. And when people start to see the block editor and especially patterns, like it's just this light bulb moment of that's exactly what we want. How do we get there? So now we have that solution, and it's not just for us, for web dev studios, right? We built this in a way, and I firmly believe that this is a tool that other freelancers, builders, agencies should be looking at because it can allow them to bring additional options to their clients. So maybe, again, their client doesn't want to redesign their website. Great. Bring this tool to your client and say, let's chip away at it. Let's start iteratively upgrading your website, with maybe the end goal being, if the end goal is to retire your old website, then when you get done with kind of implementing your new theme across all of your various pages, then you turn off Theme Switcher Pro and activate your new theme fully, and you're done, right? So it's a tool that could be removed if that's the goal, or it's a tool that could also stay there. And I'm sure we'll get into that with like landing pages and other things. So
yeah, absolutely. Very cool. Well, do you want me to bring it up and you can start to show us a little bit about what it does?
Let's start to show it. Actually, can I do, what happens if I do this? Cool. Switches to my other one. That's what I was hoping.
Okay, cool.
All right. So I could show a couple different demos. I like showing more real world demos, right? Like this is the Web Dev this is the Web Dev Studios dev site. A lot going on here, but it's essentially a clone of our live website. This is all classic WordPress. We've struggled like everyone to, cobbler's kids and shoes and all that stuff, right? But having the time and focus to not just rebuild and redesign our website, but upgrade it to more modern WordPress, right? So, hey, this is a tool we're going to start using and are starting to use. So real simply, I have Theme Switcher Pro installed here. Again, it's a plugin. It's activated. It automatically detects. So it has a UI, of course. It automatically detects all my custom post types that I have registered. Of course, it's going to default to, select your theme. It's going to default to whatever is active by default, as you'd expect. It's got my front page settings if I want to swap out my home page for something else. Archive settings, so things like taxonomies, categories, tags, those archives you can change out. Classic editors. This is the demo I really want to show here. So the idea of overwriting the WordPress classic editor with the block editor. And then some debug stuff. So real quick, a simple example. If you have the classic editor installed, which is a separate plugin, If you have that installed, it forces the classic editor, and it does not allow you to override that, because that's exactly what that plugin is meant to do. So by default, we respect that. But if we want to override it, which in this case we do, we go ahead and say, I'm going to override the classic editor, and I'm going to use, whatever theme I want to use to do that. So I'll just go ahead and save it. And now remember, this is all classic editor. So any content, anything I look on this website is going to be WYSIWYG. So if I go to add a new page, it's using WYSIWYG, it's using old school WordPress. Nothing's changing yet, right? Now, what I want to do is I want to start using blocks and patterns. So in this case, again, I'm on a single page, a single piece of content. I'm not making a global rule. I scroll down here and you'll see Theme Switcher Pro settings. I can switch this. So any theme I have in my themes directory, one of these is going to be active, of course, but anything that's in there is going to show up. In this case, I have my WDS-COM V1, which is our block-based theme. I guess you can't see my drop down on the screen, but I selected one. And then as soon as I save it, this is where the magic happens, right? So fingers crossed, live demo and all, but yeah, as soon as I save it, it knows I've just switched.
There you go. Look at that.
And now we're in blocks. And this is the power. This is the light bulb moment I like to show people, because if you are stuck in the classic editor, this is your solution. This is your path forward. So as soon as this is not just like the front end, this is loading the entire theme in the back end. And that was one of the hardest technical challenges of this plugin. Is if you're running a Gutenberg theme and you go to create a new piece of content, all of those assets from that theme, everything needs to load in the back end so you can use it to build out your blocks, your patterns, your pages that come with that theme. It all has to load and be available. And that's where the challenge was. It's not just saying, hey, run this theme instead of that theme. There's a lot more to it to say, hey, we need to load this theme so it's actually fully running on the back end, as it would if it were fully activated like a traditional theme. But now I have all the patterns. We don't have a ton in here. We're still working on them, but you can see all the patterns that, come with the theme. If you're using Ollie, if you're using Astra or something, the patterns are going to be in there that come with it. And then, real quickly, I can just start building on a block page, throwing in patterns. Let's go ahead and let's just publish it and take a look. And then I'll quickly show after there's a couple other options with like another premium theme. So obviously very rough example, but the way we set up our block themes and do this transition is we mimic the header and footer of the classic site onto the new block-based theme. So the header and footer is identical. The only thing that changes is the content between, which is now powered by blocks, as you can see. So when the rest of this website is all very, very much classic WordPress, except for this one single page that I just created. And that very to me cool. Is just, it blows my mind that we can get so granular and say one page or one post or whatever it might be. Or you can go more global and say every single post on my website is going to run this new theme. Or every post or every post in the news category is going to run this one theme. So it's the possibilities when you can get into it really start to expand, because not only can you switch out stuff, but you can use it for other things, like you mentioned, landing pages, maybe LMSs, e-commerce, things like that. So really, really powerful, really quickly.
Absolutely. Now we have a couple comments I'll bring up real quick. Cool. So Cami says, "This is so cool, Brad."
Cami. Go Raiders.
Matt says, "I've been seeing this guy all over the place."
I'm a man on the streets, Matt. And that is one of my favorite roles at this company. Man on the streets. I always joke with my wife, April. That's really my unofficial title. And she thinks I'm
on the streets.
I'm something. So.
So Dan is asking, what if your classic theme has a lot of custom fields?
Yep. Yeah, good question. So now it depends, right? So how are you registering the fields, right? Is it all coming kind of baked within the theme, or is it, have you integrated with like ACF or, some other tool, CMB2 or something like that? If it's all baked in the theme, it will all be available when you switch the theme. We've also got a way where you can, because some themes have options, of course, you can switch the theme on the back end just to go into those theme options, configure it however you want, and then switch it back if it's not your primary theme. So it does allow that kind of flexibility. If things are registered in a plugin and you switch the theme needs to be aware of like how you're using it, right? So that's going to be part of your build out, whether it's ingesting that via blocks or patterns, or if you're building custom templates within your theme that knows what to do with that data. But you're going to have to kind of inform the new templates what that data is in some way, right? It's not going to just know, hey, this is a piece of pricing metadata that was added without some context and kind of making that connection. So a little bit of work that you probably need to do there, but nothing crazy. And honestly, most of it, if not all of it, could be done through the UIs of the two tools. So yeah, that's awesome. I'd love to show another quick example too when we have a second.
let me show Cammy's question. It was the
Yeah,
same question I asked you back in Arizona's. Does it
yes,
work with page builders? Can you use it with like Beaver Builder and
100%.
Elementor and things like that?
It absolutely does. So we've tested with the most popular page builders, Elementor, Divi, Beaver Builder, just a few. We have a compatibilities list on our website that we're making sure we really update it. Themeswitcher.com, by the way, is the website. We're making sure we keep that updated because that's the number one thing is is it going to work with this? Is it going to work with that? By and large, if things are doing, if a plugin or a service works with WordPress and using kind of what's built into WordPress, it works. A good example is Lifter LMS. I was on the LMS cast with Chris talking about it, and we did some testing on both sides. And the way Lifter works, it creates pages when you install and configure the plugin, and then those pages inject the Lifter content into those pages via blocks or whatever method you want to use. So out of the box, it works because they're pages, right? Theme
Right.
Switcher works with core WordPress for content, for custom post types, for taxonomies.
Mm-hmm.
The areas that you might need some additional support or customization, or if themes are coming with really specific or unique templates, things that aren't really, they're doing things a little bit differently and more advanced. Those are the ones we want to do more thorough testing. But by and large, it works really, really well. We can't guarantee it works on every theme ever made, but if you're building themes the WordPress way and you're following the standards, it works.
Can you go back to the settings because you just mentioned custom post types,
Yep.
and Cami had that question. Can you show her where
Yeah,
that
let's go here.
setting was again?
Yeah, so in the settings, I'm in the Theme Switcher Pro. The first tab is post type. So in this example, we have a number of custom post types registered. So it recognizes all of them, like our books is a press type, press releases, services, and again, this is our live website content. Team members, custom post type. So maybe I want to use a different theme for my team members. I could switch it just for that post type. Now, these are global rules. So if I switch it, it's going to switch every post, every page over. And I'll switch over to, I can demo that a little bit better on this setup. So this is a local host setup. But in this case, I have a lot of different themes running and a lot of different conditions. But what I'd like to show is posts, right? So just to kind of show you where we're at 2025 is our active theme. I have a number of other themes available. And when I go, let's go ahead and make a global rule. So let's say, you know what? I want all of my posts to run the beautiful 2023. I know everyone loves that one because it has that really big green button. So I'll save it. The homepage is running Astra, right? So that's different. This landing page is running Ollie. We can kind of go through how these work in a second. The sample page is default. This is 2025. Now remember, I set it globally. So every single post is now running 2023, which we see right here. And we should hopefully see, there it is, our beautiful green button. And now it's across every single post. The other thing I like to mention is this was built by devs for devs. So while we do have these global and these various settings in the UI, this can all be controlled via code, and you can get really granular. So you can tap into most WordPress conditionals directly via code to create theme switching conditionals. Good example, a fun example that we've been talking about internally, and we'll probably do an example next month. I like scary movies. Next month, there's a Friday the 13th. So you could set a conditional that says on Friday the 13th, anytime there's a Friday the 13th, run this theme on maybe just on this section or this post or this page, or maybe across the whole website just for fun. So you can get granular. You can say, we launched this for a client and they wanted to use, that client I mentioned on the single post. We basically did a snapshot in time. So all posts from the date we set going forward use the new theme and the new block-based template. And then all posts prior to that were on the classic editor and kind of locked in. They could still modify that content, but they didn't really need to. So we kind of put a line in the sand of when the new stuff is started and the old stuff stays. Again, right through code, we can track it through Git commits and just make sure that somebody doesn't accidentally mess up the settings. But of course, the UI works as well, but code, you can take it way further.
This would have been really helpful that year that you changed your entire website for April Fool's Day, wouldn't it?
April Fools, talk like a pirate. I mean, the possibilities are endless, people. Like we could just switch out every single day if we want, but obviously you got to be careful, right? You put this on production, and I think these are cool examples. They're probably that's not really a real use case, but maybe right. Someone wants to have some fun just on their blog, right? So,
maybe you want to look like Space Jam tomorrow. Isn't that the one that's like so old?
Maybe. I mean, some other use cases. We have a client that's using this just for landing pages. Their site's fine. They like their site, but they want to start using block-based content patterns and some a different theme that we help them design and develop so they could just rapidly pump out landing pages. And their site's classic editor, right? So We built out a new theme with them, and they're using this just to produce new landing pages. And what used to take a week or two, because they'd get all the copy in there and get everything great, but then a developer would have to come in and tighten up the code, get alignment right on images. You know how it is with the WYSIWYG editor. Now they're doing it. They're published. It literally takes them a matter of hours and zero developer support. So when marketing teams start to understand, again, the power of blocks and what it can do, and patterns and reusable components, and how quickly that can help escalate their marketing initiatives online. Again, another kind of light bulb moment of, hey, we don't have to flip everything upside down to start doing something more modern. We can use a tool like Theme Switcher Pro to start doing that. And then if we want to go all in and replace our site down the road, we can. But literally on your classic sites, you can install this plugin, install Ollie or some other theme, and create content within, a minute or two in block base on an old website. So in my mind, this is how we can get people to stay with WordPress and continue to use WordPress. Is we need to get them on the block editor, because the old experience is outdated. It's clunky, it's frustrating, and it needs to go. And if we don't, people on the classic legacy, many of them, especially businesses, are at a kind of a reflection point of what direction they want to go. We want them to stay on WordPress, all of us, right? I would hope that's listening to this show. So I firmly believe the more people can get on the block editor, the better chance we have to keep them on WordPress long term and continue to grow the project and the usage. So really excited about this tool, because I just think it's another tool that can be in all of our tool belts, that we can help further that adoption.
I think you have a new customer. Cami says she has so many clients to switch over.
Cami's great. We had a fun time at press conference, me and Cami.
She's fantastic.
And she's diehard like Raiders fan. I'm very jealous because she saw Bo Jackson play in the day, and he's like one of my heroes. So we bonded a lot, didn't we?
Is he the one that played baseball for a little while too?
Yeah, baseball and football. He's the first one to do it.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah,
she says go Raiders.
This is the year, Cami. I can feel it.
It's coming.
Okay, so 20 years now, but
I interrupted you before, and you were going to show something else. So it was a specific use case. I think might have been landing pages. I don't remember.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember.
Look at, I mean, I'm happy to show off anything. I think also the homepage is another biggie, right? Like, I think showing this example too, because the other theme I showed from classic to blocks is great, but I love when you can bring in a lot of patterns and stuff. So again, this is an example of block to block, right? This is running 2025, which is a block based theme. So if we wanted to do a new landing page, and I'm a big fan of Ollie just because it ships with some really beautiful patterns, elegant layouts, very accessible, very easy to use. So I'll switch it over to Ollie, and we'll go ahead and publish it. So again, it's going to flip. If you watch closely, you can see the font change just a little bit on the title. We are now running Ollie. So as soon as we go into those patterns, we go into Ollie, like, again, Ollie just has awesome patterns out of the box, start building out, nice feature list. Let's get a little grid here, some of this. And of course, you always need a real clear call to action. And then the other thing I like to do, which is just me being particular, is I like to switch my template to not have a title. Full width, no title. Save it, publish it. Again, this is a 2025 website. I've got to remind people, because it very quickly does not look like that. Sorry, I flipped over. So as soon as I publish it, this is a 2025 website, and I just put together this awesome landing page as we're talking here in a matter of 60 seconds, So, and again, homepage is Astra. What did we set our single post to? 2023. It's like the sample page goes back to the default. So you can just the use cases really are limitless. And when you start to play around with it, it's just fun. A/B testing is an option, running it for different features, rather than having to do subdomains or maybe be forced into a multi-site, you can run, a WooCommerce theme for WooCommerce. We're actively testing WooCommerce. That's a big question we get. It by and large works pretty well out of the box, but there's definitely some more tightening we can do. So before we call it officially compatible, we're going to be working on that, but we expect that to be fully compatible within the next release or two, probably within a few weeks. So because we know that's another great use case. Hey, I want to use one of these awesome WooCommerce themes off the shelf, but I don't want to replace my entire website theme, right? Cool. Just replace the theme running WooCommerce in the WooCommerce pages and sections. Yeah. So it's fun to see what I'm anxious to see what people think. There is an educational component to this, which is why I'm on my media tour, because people need to be aware it's out there and what it does. And it's not just a dev tool. This is something we are actively running on production. We're actively using it even on WordPress VIP websites. So it's being ran at scale right now. So
I can see this really being useful too for, say, like maybe my blog, I like the side panel, I like all that stuff, but I maybe want to have video pages and I want those to be full width, and so I'm going to bring something else in for that. And I think that's really, like you
Yeah.
said, the possibilities are really endless.
We got a couple
Um,
videos too, if you want to check them out. I'm trying to make it kind of short and sweet,
mhm,
couple minute, like here's, a video, an action item. Hey,
mhm.
nice little banner we got there ready to go.
You
You're
like
such a
that?
professional, Michelle. I do like
Tell you
that.
what.
I do like that. Um,
I try.
yeah, but if anyone out there is interested in testing the tires, kicking the tires, want to test it out, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to share out some copies. I've been doing some demos too, so if anybody would like a one-on-one demo, just shoot me a DM. I think there's a lot of questions, just people want to explore. It's
Mhm,
also, it is premium to your point, and that was a very calculated decision. This is a powerful tool.
mhm. Yeah,
This is a tool that brings some value to either your website or your clients' websites, and we want to make sure that we can also put our best foot forward on the support
yeah,
standpoint. And to do that,
yeah.
it's got to be really on the premium side.
It
So there could be opportunities down the road, which is why I put that pro name on there. If you
Yep.
wanted to do a free one, but for now, it is a premium tool. We do
It
have a
doesn't really
30-day money back, no questions asked. That way, if for some reason your situation doesn't work or you're just not sure, we'll make it right. So
it really doesn't feel like something that would have a light version, right? Like, so like what would you do as a light version? You
I
really
don't
want
know.
this to have the full power,
Only
which is
supports
why
only one theme with the late version.
that'd
You
be
don't want to
weird,
limit
right?
stuff.
So
You don't want to
no,
limit the
exactly.
capabilities. Yeah,
I
I don't
agree.
know.
I think it's well worth the money. So we have some comments. Are you ready to take me for me to take this off the screen, or is
Yeah,
there more you
sure.
want to show? Okay, so it's just a little easier to bring the comments up here.
Mhm.
So Dan Canal says, "Love it. I can see how things could get complex with brand changes and new navigation, or significant global typographic differences between the legacy and new themes.
Mhm.
What's the best way to deal with that?"
Yeah. No, that's a fair point because you don't want, you need to be careful, right? You don't want a bad experience for your visitors on your website. That's the number one
Right.
thing, right? So if someone's on your website and they click to a section, your about page, and it feels like they left the website, but they didn't, that is a bad experience. So
Right.
that's why what we do is we mimic the header footer. Now, keeping them in sync, that is a challenge. You're right, because it's two separate code bases. We don't have we're not basically syncing the headers between the two themes. That could get a little tricky and could introduce bugs automatically rather than something we're able to catch manually. So I think it's more of a conscious decision. You could build out a system that could do that, and we've built stuff like that for clients where it's like a shared header, and that way it's one
Mhm.
code base. So there's ways to do it, but we're basically just mimicking the code and doing our best to keep it in sync with, again, the ultimate goal of, for our clients and ultimately our website over time, to transition fully to the new theme and then sunset and deactivate the legacy
Mhm.
theme and fully activate
Yeah.
that block theme across the whole
Yeah.
website. So,
Looks like you've got a fanboy here.
oh boy. So this guy, Mr. Lego Influencer, he's actually my neighbor and he does a lot of live streams, and I like to log on to his and just, mess with him a little bit. So here's
That's
Evan.
awesome. My mother asked me last night, "How many Lego sets have you done?" And I said, "I don't know, about 25." I counted them this morning, 43. I'm up to 43.
Oh man,
So,
you would
yeah.
like his he built a city. So his basement is,
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
from the Lego movie. Like you go down there and it's this massive city. It's all lit up because you got the LED sets. It's cool.
I need to see that.
Yeah.
So Brian Henry says he once wanted something like this for affiliates. The idea was to have one WooCommerce store, but affiliates would theme it to their style. For example, multiple domains front ends for one store. Seems like an interesting use case.
Absolutely, could be. Yeah. Someone asked me today, like, could you go from blocks to classic? I was like, yeah, you could. You shouldn't,
Yeah,
but
well,
you
I mean,
could. I mean, like,
I mean, technically you could, but
if you're a
why?
psychopath, I guess you could go that direction.
I like that. And he says $2.99 are free for us in this chat.
Yeah, Brian, reach out, man. Like, I'm a big believer in people in the community. Like if you have a good product and you stand behind it, you have a good team, and it's value. Giving out a few free copies is not killing the business or breaking the
Right.
bank, right? It's like, I want to get it out in the hands of people because I think at least from us, I think the idea of getting it into more agency and freelancer hands that they can bring to
Yeah.
their clients is as intriguing, if not more, than just selling the product directly ourselves or only using it for our clients. I'm really anxious to kind of build an ecosystem around this in a sense. And it's, like I said, it's another tool in, the developers or webmaster, if you will's tool belt, that they can go to their clients and say, hey, we have an option. It's not just rebuild from the ground up. Like, this could get you some more work starting today. And you bring these, we're always looking for ways we can bring more services and stuff to our clients and sell them. Here's one. If they're on Classic, bring this to them. Say, hey, we can take Ollie and start producing stuff today. Let's go.
Now, I have a site that is on older Divi that is completely built with short codes. Is it going to work with that, or am I still going to have to do a little extra work to make it work?
Well, it depends where the short codes are coming from, is the biggie. Like, are they coming from the theme? Then no, they are. The short code won't know what to do, because that logic is in the other theme. Now, there is a plugin that we have used recently. I'll have to dig it up. I'll get it on the post status Slack. I'm blanking on the name, but what it does is it goes through your site where there's short code. You can set what short code, and it goes through anywhere that short code is in use and renders it, and then resaves it back as the rendered code. So it basically like kind of eliminates the short code where it makes sense. So that could be an option where you could run that through, because the short code is rendering something, right, from Divi or whatever. So it could render it, and then now you have the HTML code within the content. So when you port it over, it would work.
Oh, sweet.
And you would probably it would port over into like a classic block, right? And Gutenberg.
I love that. So. Nice. Well, we'll talk later then, because I want to test this out for you and write about it as well.
That's the more edge case use cases. I'm on an old version. I'm trying to do this, the better, right? So that's another reason why we're really trying to get this in as many hands as possible early, because there are going to be some edge cases that we want to fully support that we haven't yet come across. And that's just going to come with further adoption and getting feedback. So.
Now, do you recommend people do this with a live site or in staging, or both?
I highly recommend you do it live around 4:45 p.m. on a Friday.
On a Friday,
right? Max experience, max exposure. I don't know. No,
especially if you're on vacation the next week.
Yeah, I mean, as with anything, test it out, right? Like, once you've got it tested on your test in a proper staging environment, right? Make sure staging is as close to production in terms of code, and content doesn't always need to be exactly in sync, but code needs to be in sync, so it's a proper test. And if it's working in product or in staging, push it up to production, and away you go. It's not going to override anything until you tell it to. It's not running anything until you tell it to. Even on activation, everything just keeps running the way it is, but you can start selectively testing. Just test one page. Let's create one page, before you start creating global rules. But of course, as with everything, test before you go to production. But once it's on prod and you've already tested, then away you go, and you just start creating content with whatever theme you decide you want to run.
That's awesome. Anybody else have more questions? This is your opportunity, because when I let him go, he's going to go have cheesesteak probably for dinner.
Oh man, I don't have as many cheesesteaks as I used to, but that does sound good.
I don't eat as many garbage plates as people would think we do in Rochester either. But if you don't know what a garbage plate is,
when I left Buffalo, you mentioned the wings. When I left, I had the beef on weck. Is that what it's called?
Oh, beef on weck is really good. Yeah. Yes. So it's a Kimmel Wick roll. So it's got the caraway seeds, the rice seeds, and
I just dipped it right in the juice and picked up a couple of those and got back I ate them on the train. I remember, because they were like, that's the other place you have to go in Buffalo. So I hit it on the way out. So if you're ever going to an event, I mean, it's all about the local food, go there and eat. Yep. That's what I like to
come to Rochester, try a garbage plate, go to Philly and have a cheesesteak. Yeah. Good stuff. I mean, none of it is healthy, but you don't go to another city to eat healthy. You go to try the
local cuisine, which is not healthy at all.
Never, almost never. Exactly. That's awesome. So I'm putting up one more time so y'all can see it. If you are interested in more information, it is themeswitcher.com. If you are in post status, you can always DM Brad. He's pretty good about getting back to you and tagging him and all that kind of stuff. He's usually in there. If you're somebody who has Slack open all the time, you'll hear the notifications and eventually turn to him, right? That's what I always do, which is awesome. Anything else you'd like to add today, Brad?
Anything at all? Let's see. No, I mean, look, I just got back from PressConf. You mentioned Michelle. We were there. Obviously, a lot of people were there. A lot of really familiar faces in the WordPress industry, and a lot of new faces I had met, which is always great too. But going to an event like that that's focused on like the business of WordPress and just having kind of open and raw conversations, like I guess that we need more of that, right? Like, I just, as a community, just putting it out there into WordPress, like getting together in person, having FaceTime goes a long, long way. Right?
It really does.
Even when things aren't going your way, even when there's, the outlook and everything is scary right now, like we're all going through this together. And the great thing about
Mhm.
the WordPress community is we all naturally tend to help each other. So,
Yeah.
and we always have. And I feel like it's just that's one thing that truly does set us apart that I just have not seen in other industries,
Yeah.
especially when you start getting into, we're talking billions of dollars industry here, right? And we're still
Mhm.
by and large pretty friendly, I think, most of us, right? So
I
just I
think
think
so
it's
too.
important to
Yeah.
remember that, and I hope that we can start getting more events. I hope we can start getting more FaceTime and less of the craziness online and negativity. Let's get back to
Yeah.
positivity. I know by and large most of the people in this community are very positive people doing amazing things.
Mhm.
So let's get back to
I
that,
will
people.
say,
That was a lot of
you
fun
know,
at that event.
it was. I mean, I got laid off in February from my full-time job. Of course, I work at Post Status, and I do get paid for that. It's not a voluntary position, but it isn't a full-time get paid what I was getting paid before position either.
Mhm.
But I will say that by and large, so many people in WordPress have reached out to me to say, can they connect me to somebody? Hey, I found this job you should
Yeah,
apply to. And I'm sponsored to go to WordCamp Europe because people
that's
want to make
awesome.
sure that I'm in places like that. So I'm very happy with this community as well. I have some exciting things happening in the next couple weeks. I can't quite talk about yet, but people will learn about very soon. Some things that are happening for me and some new sites that I'm going to be launching. So absolutely,
Nice.
this community it's kick ass. I'm telling you,
Yep.
it's pretty
And if you
awesome.
need help, like ask, reach out. Like I
Yeah,
feel like everyone's
exactly.
very, very welcoming and warming. Like if you
Yeah,
have a challenge, you have a problem, you have a
yeah,
anything, like go into Post Status. There is amazing information being dropped in there on
yep,
almost a daily basis. Sometimes you just
absolutely.
gotta just look and interact with people, and we're all here
And
to help each other. So
the fee for joining now is only $50 a year, so that it's accessible
I
for
mean,
just
if you're in
about
the WordPress
everybody.
space in any way, it's a no brainer. You need to be a Post Status
Absolutely.
member, and I don't just say that because I'm not sponsored. So, and I don't just say that because I like Michelle and and Yost and everybody over there. It truly is a who's who of the WordPress community. So if you're doing anything in
Mhm.
WordPress, $50 a year, you sign up.
You
What are you
can't
waiting
beat it. Absolutely. So I met somebody new. I met them online, and then I met them at PressConf. Zach Hendershot
for?
is going to be here next week to talk about Marooney. I hope I said it right, which is a way to automate website edit requests from your customers using AI. And he's going to demo that next week. So we're going to get to see what that looks like. So I'm just super excited about all the new things, yours and Zach's, and other things that are happening in WordPress that we can all use and benefit from. So yeah, so make sure that you're here next week to learn from Zach about what his newest thing is. If you have something new that you'd like to have on the show, message me. I will absolutely get you scheduled in. I just love being able to help showcase what people are doing in WordPress. So I'd love to have you. Thank you so much, Brad. I know that this is helpful to you as well, but it's absolutely helpful to me. Oh, look, we got from your own studio. I don't know who's running that right now, unless it's you in the back end.
That is Jen in the background.
Hey, Jen, innovation,
Yeah,
innovation is
yeah,
alive and well in WordPress.
yeah. No, you're welcome, Michelle, and thank you for all you do.
Yeah,
Appreciate you not just having me on, but I was going through some of the older episodes and like just you it's a good place to get people's voices out there.
yeah,
Some more recognizable than others, but it's nice to see the consistency. And to go back and I watched Taco and I saw a lot of old friends and cool to
it's
see
pretty
what they're
fun.
up to as well. So yeah, great job.
Yep, confirmation. It is Jen. Great
Yeah.
show. Thanks, Jen. Thanks everybody for checking us out this week. Thank you, Brad, for being here. Next week we'll talk to Zach and we'll just keep going. We won't have a show the week of WordCamp Europe because I will be in Europe, but every other week than that, we will be here. So thank you everybody for being here.
Bye.
See you all later. We'll hit end stream and then we wait.